Let me bring in Sean Spicer. He's Director of Communications at the RNC. Sean, good to see you. Very, very anxious times, I'm sure, for you. What's it been like?
It's been kind of great. The last few weeks, the momentum and the excitement on the Republican side, all of these battleground states, whether you're talking about the top of the ticket or the Senate races that you mentioned, continue to trend our way. We feel very confident in maintaining the Senate, and we feel more and more confident every day that that path to 270 for Donald Trump and Mike Pence gets wider and brighter.
Well, let's get down to the down ballot issues, and specifically the Senate. Because suddenly that's very much in play, Sean. I know you wouldn't disagree with me on that. I'm sure a lot of it comes down to money, but what steps is the RNC taking to ensure that GOP holds on to important seats and wins important seats?
I think you laid it out real well, Liz. I mean, we were on defense from day one, defending 24 seats. The beautiful thing is that we had the best ground game operation in the history of the party. It so happens that most of those seats match up with battleground states. So whether it's Wisconsin, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, New Hampshire, Nevada. And so it's really allowed us to have a unity of effort up and down the ticket in each of these states. Because we were in early and we made that early investment under this chairman, we've had a presence in those states for almost 4 years in most cases. Secondly, I think they're great candidates who have run great campaigns. So whether it's Ron Johnson, you mentioned him, or Roy Blunt in Missouri, or Rob Portman, each of them have done a phenomenal job, knew this was going to be a tough year, prepared in terms of their staffing and their funding, and I think that's why we're fairly confident that we're going to maintain that majority in the Senate. Mitch McConnell will continue to be majority leader. Well,
here's Rob Portman of Ohio. I want to switch it over to what you just mentioned, and that's Missouri. Roy Blunt has dropped a couple of percentage points in the polls since August when his Democratic challenger, Jason Kander, who is a military veteran, a lawyer, and also a military intelligence expert, put this very sort of edgy commercial up where blindfolded he released this ad where blindfolded he assembles his rifle. It had to do with the fact that he was trying to get voters to understand that he is pro-Second Amendment, but also feels that background checks that are common sense are reasonable. That ad has gained traction, and in fact it's even made the front page of national newspapers, and he seems to be gaining traction. Are you focusing on Missouri right now, Sean?
Oh, yeah. We've been focused on Missouri for a while, but I would disagree with the assessment. I think the race definitely tightened up. In the past couple of weeks, Senator Blunt has started to open up a decent lead, and we feel very confident that he will be reelected. Look, Senator Blunt and the Blunt family has done a great job of representing Missouri for years, and he truly has his pulse on what the voters of Missouri want: jobs, better education, health care needs, and he's been very attentive, not just in his time in the Senate, but while he was in the House. And there's a reason that Roy Blunt ascends to the leadership, whether it was in the House or the Senate, and I think it's because he's effective at what he does. So he has run a great campaign, and we feel very good that he'll be back representing Missouri in the Senate next January.
Donald Trump was in the Granite State today. He's really focusing on New Hampshire as well, to that Senate seat, which is a toss-up, and you have Kelly Ayotte is defending her Senate seat. Maggie Hassan has high name recognition. She's the governor, but this one's coming down to the wire.
Well, it is. It's a small state. They're both well known. But again, I think Kelly Ayotte's run a great campaign. She was the Attorney General before being elected to the United States Senate. She's very well known and got a very attractive record to the voters of New Hampshire. She's focused on jobs and the economy. She's got her finger on the pulse of what's happening there. And again, she's run a really strong campaign. But the thing that's interesting, Liz, is again, two things. One is, as you mentioned at the outset, and I talked about, we've been on defense in terms of the number of Senate seats. Of the 36 up, 24 are Republicans. But the beauty thing is, because we were prepared early, that's helped us. Secondly, when you look at the top of the ticket, it's really interesting the number of states that Obama won twice that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are now making extremely competitive, whether it's Michigan, Wisconsin, Colorado, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Florida, Virginia. All of these states are states that Obama carried twice that Trump and Pence now have within that margin of error, and each one of them is trending in their direction.
Wisconsin, I'm so glad you brought that up. Obviously, Paul Ryan, and he's going to get a little bit of a...
Near and dear to my boss, the chairman of the party.
Well, sure. And I have to say, that's what surprised a lot of people when, in this interview in the National Review, Vice Presidential candidate Mike Pence declined not once, not twice, but 3 times to answer the question of whether Paul Ryan should be reelected as Speaker of the House. Mike Pence was giving a bit of a wishy-washy response on that. Maybe it's because his boss, Donald Trump, on the ticket certainly has tussled with Paul Ryan. Does Paul Ryan remain?
No, look, I mean, no. Paul Ryan will be reelected Speaker of the House. I'm convinced of it. Mike Pence and Paul Ryan knew each other very well in the House. They both were integral in budget issues when Governor Pence, then Congressman Pence, was chairman of the Republican Study Committee.
What if Donald Trump wins as president?
But Liz, look, there and Mike Pence was there the other day. He's going to be back. There's a fully unified ticket between Governor Walker, Paul Ryan, Ron Johnson. We're going to carry Wisconsin both electorally in the state for the Senate, because Ron Johnson's done a phenomenal job. He is still brings that business experience, that message of change that got him elected in the first place. Russ Feingold continues to be somebody who Wisconsin voters rejected a while ago because he's full of he's dependent on Washington. So I think we feel very good about Wisconsin. And again, look at that trend. Wisconsin was supposed to be written off the map, but Ron Johnson, through his persistence and a great campaign, has kept this thing extremely competitive.
I got some breaking news I just want you to respond to, and that is that there are apparently 2 new classified email batches from the State Department and Hillary Clinton that the FBI has found and has released. We are sifting through them, but this is on the record from State Department spokesperson John Kirby. The State Department is making publicly available 74 documents. It's a total of 285 pages here. This is material that was received from the FBI, and we're watching this very closely. We're looking through them. But again, this is classified that did go through the unsecure server. So this has been the November surprise for Donald Trump,
right.
Is it not?
Right. I mean, if you think, unfortunately, I'd hate to, I'm just not shocked anymore. And there's so many times when the Clintons have told us over the past 30 years, didn't do it, not us, and it turns out over and over again that they did do what they were accused of.
Everything's released.
They didn't
it's all
follow
out
the
there,
rules.
And here comes more.
Right. Every time. And again, let's put this in context. All of these emails now, supposedly, again, I don't know that, but what I do know is they were looking at a laptop that Anthony Weiner, who is sexting with an underage woman, was involved in. I don't know how this turns out as a net positive in any case. And again, this is just a reminder, if you think this is bad, you haven't had enough over the next 30 years. This is what the next 4 years would be like. Constant investigation, constant scandals. So unfortunately, it's not a surprise. And I think this is why people are ready for change.
Okay. Again, I just want to stress to people, we are sifting through these emails right now in our Washington, D.C. bureau. As soon as we get some context with them, we will give it to you. Sean, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Liz.
Sean Spicer, RNC Communications Chair. And by the way, we're going to get a